What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Don't have all my gear with me, not my usual set, but I wanted to record this episode quickly. Some news just came across my Twitter feed today, which is that Netflix has taken the global streaming rights for Seinfeld starting in 2021. The LA Times just broke this news. I think it's a really interesting microcosm of what's happening in this streaming space. Up until now, Seinfeld was available on Hulu, which is mainly owned by Disney, which is set to launch Disney Plus. It's Netflix competing service. This hits home even more, not only because Seinfeld is like my favorite show of all time. I love Seinfeld. I'm a New Yorker, but I tweeted a couple of weeks ago that I thought Netflix should actually buy the rights to Seinfeld for $500 million or whatever it takes. And actually looking into it, $500 million was actually way too low. So I have some really interesting stats that I want to go through in this episode because I think this is at the forefront of what's going on in media. As much as Amazon and Netflix are investing in new content, it's fascinating to see how old content, really nostalgia, sells in this new streaming economy. And I think this could be a really good clue of why I think Disney is such a powerful player, because they have all this old IP that's hitting on nostalgia. And I think Seinfeld, this bidding war for the rights of Seinfeld is showing just how valuable that is to the companies who have the most data about streaming. I mean, Netflix knows how many people are watching Friends, the potential for that to get removed off their show, the impact that could have on their subscribers. So they want another one of these blockbuster old shows. And so that's why them acquiring the rights to Seinfeld is a huge, huge deal. So to get into the pricing of, or how big this deal actually was, they don't have the exact terms of the deal. They're not disclosed yet, according to the LA Times, but they say Netflix probably paid far more than the $500 million NBC Universal paid for The Office and the $425 million Warner shelled out for Friends. People familiar with the deal said, and up until now, Hulu had been paying $150 million per year just to stream the rights to Seinfeld. And keep in mind, this deal with Netflix is not a in perpetuity deal. It's only a 5-year deal beginning in 2021. And so it blew my mind a little bit to see that, The Office is worth $500 million, $425 million for Friends. And this is after they made all their money airing originally decades ago. And now Seinfeld, probably close to $1 billion show. Actually, over 10 years, there's almost no question in my mind that Seinfeld could command $1 billion in fees from some of these streaming players. So this is fascinating, and it puts into context why companies like Amazon are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to just acquire the rights, and then hundreds of millions of dollars to then build out series for something like Lord of the Rings, because that has the potential to generate billions of dollars long term, especially when you're playing something like that has that much cultural relevance and nostalgia. And I was looking into the social media of this. Jerry Seinfeld has like 4 million followers on Twitter. The Seinfeld show doesn't really have a big Twitter presence at all, only 171 million followers. So the Seinfeld Instagram, Twitter, social media game is sort of a moonshot I have. And I think we've been seeing a lot of different shows get creative with this, where they'll launch an Instagram page for their characters or a Twitter page for their characters, or, memes. I don't know. Turning all this amazing digital content into new little formats for the internet, I think has huge potential. And a show like Seinfeld has been totally behind on that. So that's why it's a little bit frustrating. Diving deeper into the deal, the rights for the actual show Seinfeld are owned in part by like Larry David, by Sony, by Time Warner, split amongst all these studios. I think that's part of the reason they've been so slow to actually do something with it, and part of the reason they've been under monetizing the potential of Seinfeld, in my opinion, by like putting it on social media, putting it on Instagram. Like, why does Kramer not have an Instagram page? I don't know. I think that would be hilarious. Ending the episode just on a broader note, I think we are at the cusp of this fascinating inflection point where everyone's pulling their content from Netflix, launching their own service. Disney Plus is just months around the corner from launching, and as that's all happening, Netflix has now secured one of the most iconic shows in the world, my favorite sitcom ever, Seinfeld, which I think is a huge win for them in many ways. Office and Seinfeld is going to be key content to have them keep subscribers as Disney comes full force with their Star Wars show and with all of their new original content coming up. So this is Hyperchange. Would love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Are we at peak content bubble right now? Do these companies have way too much money to spend? Is hundreds of millions ridiculous for a show like Seinfeld, or is this a steal for Netflix and going to allow them to drive huge subscriber growth and fend off Disney? Leave it below. Huge shout out to our Patreon supporters, producers, funding the channel. Thank you so much. Peace. P.S. If you have any other ideas for episodes you want to see, this one's a little different, about media and the streaming landscape instead of Tesla and EVs, let me know. If it's tech, if it's disruption, there's a good chance I'm following it, and I want to make a video on it if you want to see it. So leave below. All right. Peace.